And here's the cool thing too, Dino, what I've discovered is that most people, most Homo sapiens, okay, only possess one or two superpowers.
Yeah.
Just it's not a whole lot of them. And
Sure.
that's okay. You really only need one.
Yeah.
And once you figure that out, you can apply it in any industry.
Here's what I like. I think, Knolly, and I get this from you as a person, is just from the short time we've known each other. It wasn't about being the most popular. It wasn't about everybody knowing your name, but you were doing it in a space that you believed in, in an area that made sense. You probably gave a ton, not probably, you absolutely gave opportunities to people who might not have had those opportunities before.
Sure, absolutely.
You created
100%.
a space of the Christian rap that help people get their art out there.
Right.
And
right.
To an audience that maybe they didn't have to succumb to some of their let go some of their values.
Absolutely.
And they could create a popularity and fulfill their dream without having to compromise. I mean, that's huge. And I think people really underestimate the power of what's the niche. What's the niche?
That's so true. And the riches are in the niches, as you mentioned. And what happens eventually, Dino, like where you are, is you start to have multiple niches. So, and I think of a niche as a division of your company. It doesn't necessarily have to define you, but it is a division. So when I was in real estate, I had a division that did distressed property. Okay. And I became so well known in that space that I was doing hundreds and hundreds of these. And whenever I did a luxury property, someone might say something like, well, because a lot of times, Dino, people, those of you listening might be afraid, like, hey, well, won't I cut out most of my clientele?
Right.
Well, the truth is, there's a reason why a heart surgeon, okay, makes 153 to 156,000 more than a general practitioner.
Sure.
Yet statistically, they work 30% less. Okay, they have 30% less visits. That's because there's three things that happen when you create a niche. You're sought out, you're in demand, and you're relevant. Okay. When you don't have a niche, when you're the I do it all,
yes,
you're not sought out, you're not really relevant, and you're not really in demand. If you think about it, you can actually charge a lot more, because if I had a heart condition and I need a cardiologist, guess what? I'm not looking for the cheapest, guy in town, to do my surgery. I'm looking, I'm not going to pay, maybe the most expensive, but the reality is I'm going to see who can get the job done.
I want the best. Yeah.
I want the best, and I'm going to work on their terms.
Yep.
We're going to make it work. So then, like you said, the niches are in the riches, and don't have a fear around, really stepping into your niche. The other thing I want to mention on that is you have to understand who you are. That's so important. In my new book, I talk about hone your superpower as the foundational thing. And that's what I did back then. I started off as a rapper, but I realized that there was a lot of guys out there that were better than me. And that was a blow to my ego, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
thought I was like, man, I'm like, really? And then I get these demos and I'm like, man, this guy's better than me. Like, so I just started signing these guys, but they didn't know anything about business. They didn't know. And see, my superpower, I'm a systems person. Whenever I take the assessments, whether it be the Genius test, the DISC test, all the others, Myers-Briggs and so on, I always test out as an engineer. So I'm more of the way I think is like an engineer. And so I'm highly into the systems side of things, whereas these guys were just artists. They just knew how to put it down and they were good. And I could do that, but I was better on the other side of it. So I just started, sort of managing their careers, if you will. And that was a better position for me. You know what I mean?
That's what I talk about when I talk about owning your role. This idea of like really own who you are at the highest level, the expert side of things. Dan Sullivan talks about don't do the things you're an expert at, do it at a genius level, right? So to rephrase what I just said, like do it at a genius level, do your genius. That's the role.
Absolutely.
Stop faking it. Stop trying to play somebody else. Stop trying to do something else. Be who you are. And when you there, not only do you feel like you're, I sometimes equate it to being in a river where you just like put your feet up and let the river take you.
That's
right?
right.
You're not trying to be in control. You're just letting the current take you where you need to go.
Yeah.
That's how it feels.
Yeah. It's almost like, I mean, I use the word surrender.
Yeah. Surrender.
But when you're fully in your superpower, if you think about, so I grew up with the Justice League. Okay.
Yes.
These new guys, they have Avengers and all that, right? But I had the Justice League. Yeah. We're talking about Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman, and a bunch of others that would come together and whoop some ass, right?
Yes.
We might have to beat that out, but
no,
I'm talking about they would put it down. They would put it down.
Yep.
And what you have to understand is, if you're the Incredible Hulk, I'm not going to send you on a stealth mission. Okay.
Yeah.
Now the Incredible Hulk has a great superpower. He knows how to smash. Yeah. That's about all he can do. Yeah. He gets upset and he smash. Now, if I need somebody to smash something, we're going to go with the Hulk. But if I need a stealth mission, I need somebody to quietly go in and you're not Hulk. You stay behind. We're going to send in Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Somebody. So the reality is, and it's okay. Like, you don't have, if you're the Incredible Hulk, you don't have to feel bad about it. There's going to be, there's a zone of genius that you have, and you're going to be able to be used when it's appropriate. But knowing who you are is so important. And then your team members is the same thing. You understand who they are, and then you put them in the right roles. Now we have, everybody where they're supposed to be. And we've got, again, the Justice League or Avengers, everybody's working together to make it happen.
What a great visual that is. And I appreciate you. Thank you for breaking it down in that way. I've heard a lot of different ways to talk about being your superpower, your genius. And I don't think I've ever heard it put that way, where it's true. Like, if you look at the people that the Captain Americas, the Batmans, whatever.
Yeah.
Of course, we all know they have their superpowers and their weaknesses, right? But why are you people who get upset of like, dang it, I'm not Batman? It's like, okay, but you're Wonder Woman. Like, go with that. Right. It's okay.
Let's go. And here's the cool thing too, Dino. What I've discovered is that most people, most Homo sapiens, okay, only possess one or two superpowers. Yeah. It's not a whole lot of them. Sure. And that's okay. You really only need one.
Yeah.
And once you figure that out, you can apply it in any industry, because most people are trying to figure out, who am I? Like, what am I here to be?
Right.
I see it this way, Dino. I see that we're here for three reasons. Number one, we're here to be. Number one, we're human beings, not human doings. Mm-hmm. So we're here to have an experience. That's what being is. We're here to do. We're here to, obviously, we have a mission, a purpose that we're here to tackle. And then we're here to give. We're all givers. Okay, whether we decide to actually give or not doesn't change the fact, because giving isn't something you do, it's something you are. And so when you think about it, a lot of people are like, well, what would I be good at? What should I do? That's not the question. Because once you understand your superpower, Dino, you could do it in orthodontics, you could work with plumbing, the plumbing industry.
Sure. Yeah.
And you still would change lives doing what your superpower is, connecting with people, right? And like, my superpower is connecting with others. So I could do that on stage. I can do it through books. I could do it through YouTube and so on. And I can do it in different industries. I used to always joke about the plumbing industry because I happen to be, I've been in real estate the last 20 years, and I was in the music industry before that, and I've been in software and so on. But I would say, man, if I was selling plumbing parts, I'd still be doing what I do,
Yes.
With a different crowd.
Yep.
Lo and behold, I was at an event a couple months ago. This guy works with a plumbing company that makes over $1 billion a year. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to joke about being in plumbing parts anymore, because they sell plumbing parts, but they sell billions of dollars of plumbing parts. So yeah, your zone of genius can shine wherever you happen to be,
I love how you just said that, because it inspired me to think. I just wrote down on my board here about how, I had a lot of jobs over the last, 50 years old. I've started working when I was 12 with my dad doing concrete, my stepdad doing concrete. I've had a lot of jobs. And sometimes when I go through stuff and I'm talking to people, they'll say, man, I was a limo driver in LA. I worked in Hollywood, all this sort of stuff. But I just wrote down, because you inspired me, I've had multiple jobs, but my role has never changed.
That's
I've
right.
always been about relationships. I've always
That's
been
right.
about connecting with people.
That's
I've
right.
always been about coming up with ideas.
Yeah.
That's really, for me, thank you for that.
That's revolutionary when you think about it that way. And it was an epiphany that I had probably 12 years ago, because I've been studying this whole idea of what your purpose is. Like, what are you here for? And I would always look at it from the angle of what are you here to do? And I was like, that's not really it. It's who am I? And then what I do is a conduit for who I am. It's just a channel.
Yeah.
I'm just channeling, just like you said, you did all those jobs. And so many of our students, I'd like to call, Dino, come to us and they're like, well, just tell me what I should be doing. And they think that a role is what's going to satisfy them. And that's not it. It's honing and owning your superpower and then showing up with that, no matter what that role, what that happens to be. So I'm glad you got that epiphany there, Dino. That's good. I mean, you've always had it. You've always been walking in it. You just may have not heard it.
Yeah, it brought some clarity to the own your role process for me. Even the idea of, I always say this, that there are tasks that you have to do. There's a job that you're paid for, but there's the role that you own. Hey, there's no reason to learn how to own your role on your own. If you like that clip, go ahead and click right here for another one. Or if you want to watch the entire podcast, go ahead and click right here. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.